Alright, so working on something special tonight. My Norco Fluid 2 Plus mountain bike. I have these Fox Kashima 36 or factory 36 grip 2s, which I'm pretty excited about, but there is a bit of work with putting these onto that bike. It's not as simple as undoing a few nuts and bolts and putting on some grease and whacking it in there. Quite a bit of work. Yeah, start that now. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is remove the front wheel. That includes the front braking system, the axle obviously, and then put those, a bit dark there, put those off to the side and start on the stem, the head clamps. But first things first is the front wheel. Good thing to remember when you're taking off your front brake, or any brake really, from the bike, specifically with the disc brakes, is it leaves a gap. You won't be able to see that with this lens. It leaves a gap, and so if you press the brake accidentally, knock into it or whatever, that will close and it's not enjoyable to get open. So simple piece of cardboard in between them while it's off just can save a bit of a headache down the road. Next will be the head clamp, which holds the stem onto the top of the fork. Next will be the top cap, and that's pretty much what's holding the fork in, so gonna need to support it after that. Yeah, so far so good. This little mat is pretty good for keeping your, compartmentalizing your screws, bolts, other things like that. Nice kind of frictious material to keep them in place so you don't lose them. Always good to keep track of where you put things because those are extremely important. Won't be able to see it right now, but where you take off the top cap there, you'll see the top of the stem of the fork, and you'll see where this spacer is. There's a little bit of room just above it, between the fork and it, and that's going to be important because that's the length that you actually want the fork when you put every bit, the rest of the components back together. So when you measure it, you need to ensure that you're measuring the amount that you've come out on top where the spacer is, and then subtract it by that little difference between the top of the spacer and the fork itself, tube part of it, and just put it up against the side. This one here, I need 4 millimeters of difference between the spacer and the new fork. Sometimes the steering cap can be quite difficult to loosen up the stem of the fork. Just had to pretty much whack it with a hammer with a rubber end. It did the job. It took a bit of hits, a bit of force, but as you can see, it's out now. And there we go. Fork finally out. Need to remove the crown brace from here and transfer it onto the new forks over there, and get everything on, get those forks on, and then measure it out, take it all back out and hacksaw off the amount necessary to make it a perfect fit. So on the stem, it connects everything together here. You have the crown brace, and this needs to go on the new fork. There's a tool to remove this crown brace removal tool, I'm pretty sure. I'm not using it because money, and because I do have a convenient little recess just in there, and that's going to allow me to use the this flathead screwdriver to push on that and release the crown brace. Yeah. Okay, I highly recommend you use the crown brace tool. That was not as easy as I thought. So this piece here, you see a clip in a second, it's the crown brace pretty much. And with the recess, you basically have to be careful not to damage this. I have a few hits, but it's okay. A few dints. You want to make it lose its shape anyway. But with the flatheads, a flathead screwdriver, you want to carefully knock around each side, which slowly, very slowly brings it up. Very slowly brings it up, but eventually it'll come off. Crown brace tool will minimize that to a quite easy, convenient, quick job. Maybe it is worth the money. So with the crown brace off the other stem of the fork, you want to then put it onto here, and it's going to have, it's meant to be very tight. It's going to have a lot of difficulty going on, so I recommend a hammer that has a nice kind of maybe like a mallet type, or with a rubber end, just to minimize damage from metal and metal, and just to kind of knock it around. Doesn't take much, just until it is on there nice and good light. And then before you put on the bearings, just add a bit more grease, a lot more grease, because I've really probably wipe it down with a microfiber towel, and to get some dirt that may have entered there, because it was a battle. But I'll clean that up, put on some grease and then the ball bearing, and start to put everything back together again. Okay, so what I did, as shown in the footage, is did a little mark to show how far the stem comes out with everything on. And now I need to subtract that mark to 4 millimeters to ensure that I have enough to put on the top cap and do everything up. So that's going to require me to measure, obviously, and then I'll have to get out the hacksaw and do that. Okay, so I have the saw guide on at the mark. I believe it's quite accurate. And then I'm just going to hacksaw that off, sand it, and be ready to go back into the bike. Hopefully all at the right length. So I've just cut off the top part of the stem. Now I need to sand the top to get all the jaggedy bits down and fine, and then good to put it in, get things going. Okay, so I've got the top of the stem where I want it, smooth and nice, and I'm ready to put it back in, basically, and finish everything up. Okay, the final thing I need to do, I might have to sand that down just a little bit more, is to put in the star nut, basically, which has to be hammered down into the stem. I do have a tool for that, which I just had, and it's pretty much the star crown nut setter, something like that. Always good to keep track of where you put things, because those are extremely important. Where did I just put it? Here. Oh, here is the packaging, and that is the part of the stem. Might have left it out on the couch. Anyway, I'll get it. Basically, you would get this nut, this one here, screw it onto here as much as you can, and then you'll pop it through here into this, and then put that over your stem, whack with a hammer that in until it's as far as it can go with this, and that's it. You would have set your, essentially set your star nut. Yeah. Just got to make sure to give everything a thorough clean. You don't want any bits of dirt and that interfering with the inside components, the internal components. And just adding grease where you need, and lock thread to like the headset clamps and stuff like that. Okay, have the fork in place, everything seems fine. Put on the wheel and the brakes again and see how we go. Shock's all pumped up, ready to go. Finally, finished.